presentation is for corporal punishment. And I'm going to start by giving a definition of what corporal punishment is. And then I'm going to move in to give examples and to talk about who decides if corporal punishment is punishment or if it is abuse. And then I will talk about whether or not it works and if there are lasting effects. Google defines corporal punishment as a discipline method in which a supervising adult deliberately inflicts pain upon a child in response to the child's unacceptable behavior and or inappropriate language. I'm wondering if it could be a little bit more vague. I don't think that really says anything. And then my biggest question is, who decides what's unacceptable behavior? Parents, society, the culture? That's kind of what we'll be talking about. Some examples of corporal punishment are spanking, slapping, pinching, pulling, that type of thing. I've also heard stories about kids getting their mouths washed up with soap. And then I've also heard stories about some of those children choking on the bar of soap and dying. So, is that punishment or is that abuse? In my mind, it is abuse. What about forcing a child to drink hot sauce? Something that burns their throat, physically burns their throat, even their digestive tract. Holding a child's hand in boiling water, is it punishment or abuse? What about using a paddle with holes drilled in it so that it causes more pain to the child? Is that punishment or is that abuse? So, how I said before, who decides what corporal punishment is and what is abuse? The parents, culture, child protective services, the state, federal government. So the federal government says it's okay for parents to punish their children and use corporal punishment. Does that mean it's okay? All United States jurisdictions have statutory definitions of child abuse consistent with the medical model of child abuse, which focuses specifically on the immediate and short-term physical effects of abuse on the child. While Wisconsin recognizes the right of the parent to inflict corporal punishment to correct or discipline a child, the law allows a parent to use reasonable force to discipline his or her child. Again, who decides what reasonable force is? Maybe my idea of reasonable is different than yours. So am I a reasonable person? I like to think so, but I also believe that parents should be able to spank their children with an open hand and only on the buttocks. So a lot of examples that I brought up prior, they use a lot of more things, or they use things other than just an open hand on the buttocks. So is that reasonable? I don't think so. Parent and child rights. Wisconsin recognizes the right of a parent to inflict corporal punishment to correct or discipline a child. The law allows a parent to use reasonable force. Reasonable force is that force which a reasonable person would believe is necessary and not excessive. Again, that's Google's definition. And I asked one more time, what's reasonable? The federal definition of parental rights: parents of a child may use reasonable force or impose reasonable punishments on their child to control, train, and educate the child. This process is called parental discipline. The law recognizes this parental right as we set out a framework for rights-based discipline that is founded on 5 principles. One being nonviolence, respect for children's evolving capacities, respect for children's individuality, engagement of children's participation, and respect for children's dignity. We provide examples of evidence-based approaches that implement these principles. Finally, we call for the reclaiming and restoration of the true meaning of discipline in order that all children may thrive. No pain, no gain. Corporal punishment has been shown to bring immediate compliance. Does the punishment fit the behavior? What about mental harm? Have other types of punishment been tried? I don't feel that any discipline should be done publicly. And this includes verbal discipline. I've been yelled at and belittled in front of other people, and the only thing that I learned was shame. Shame, and it caused me to be more shy and introverted while growing up. Even now, I do not like speaking in front of people because I feel really self-conscious. I always tell people I prefer to be behind the curtain. I have 4 children. They all have different personalities, and my youngest kids not get spanked much, but spanking does get their attention like a timeout. Nothing gets their attention like a timeout. 5 minutes to kids seems like forever. Does corporal punishment cause lasting harm? Elizabeth Thompson Gershaw, who's a PhD, has done extensive research on the harm done by corporal punishment. Until researchers, clinicians, and parents can definitively demonstrate the presence of positive effects of corporal punishment, including effectiveness in halting future misbehavior, not just the absence of negative effects, we as psychologists cannot responsibly recommend its use. And that was Dr. Gershaw in 2002. Dr. Gershaw used 62 years of research to determine if there was long-term effects of corporal punishment. Even with that much research, she was not able to make a conclusive decision. I am pro-spanking with open hand on the buttocks, and I do not believe that an occasional spanking would cause lasting trauma. More severe or consistent forms of corporal punishment could lead to lasting trauma and could cause aggression or criminal behavior.
Okay, so our 3 points are: corporal punishment is not meant to be abuse or maltreatment. It is a way for the child to listen to the parent, which is also a certain parenting tactic. And it is a parent's choice. As Paula was stating earlier, the government believes that parents have a right to discipline their children. Okay, so recommendations, going with those 3 points. So according to the American Psychological Association, not all corporal punishment is abuse or maltreatment. In exact words, Gershaw also cautions that her findings do not imply that all children who experience corporal punishment turn out to be aggressive or delinquent. A variety of situational factors, such as parent and child relationship, can moderate the effects of corporal punishment. And that is, again, Gershaw, 2002. Ultimately, it is the parent's regard on how they discipline their child, and there is some feedback from the study stating that corporal punishment that leads into more than a spank on the butt for doing something bad as a child can turn into behaviors for the child, but that is also considered abuse. Corporal punishment isn't meant to cause harm to the child. It's meant to have the child listen and obey the parent's rules, and it's just a different way of disciplining your child. Boundaries between corporal punishment and physical abuse. So this is again from Gershaw, 2002, the article. Corporal punishment, I use an example for this one, spanking a child because they talk back to the parent. So you spank their butt once as a form of punishment to let them know that it was not okay. versus physical abuse is child being physically injured, including bruising, broken skin, swelling, or a situation that requires medical attention.
I think with this topic, I think there can be a lot of debating going on, a lot of agreements and disagreement. Um, I, so the type of discipline that I will be advocating for, there's different kind of punishment that could be with it, like teaching your children timeouts or grounded, like Paula had mentioned, being timeouts, 5 minutes can be long for a child. There's also been research done that corporal punishment is ineffective. This can cause behavior problems like aggressive behavior, bullying, or violence. And then, like Alexis have mentioned, there's also been research done that children with corporal punishment, there's been damage between the relationship of the child and the parents. This happens, research has shown that this has happened because the child will start having doubts about the love their parents are giving them, which can also lead to depression because they're starting to feel unloved. All right, and then for the next one is most likely those who are most likely to use corporal punishment. Research has shown from Harris, he did a poll discovering that 81% of Americans privately support spanking children. And then there's also been a poll found that older generations are more accepting of spanking with 88% mature parents, 85% of baby boomers, and then 82% of the Gen X parents, and then this is them approving for the corporal punishment. And I think we go back to, I can connect with Alexis. I think that disciplining the corporal punishment, it shouldn't be about controlling the kids. Instead, it should be about teaching them how to control themselves.